Moving on to lesson 4.5, using equivalent ratios. Again, Go Math, the book, keeps coming back to these tables. Sometimes to me that's a little cumbersome, a little bit too much. I find it easier to just go directly, but we'll take a look at it because I think this is one where sometimes you have to simplify down to be able to come back up, and in that case you might prefer the table. So again, with math, there's lots of different ways to get to the solution. Whichever one is working for you, as long as it's a valid method, is fine. All right. So our first problem, we have warm weather, which is not what it is outside for us right now. But the Anderson family likes to spend time on the boat. The boat uses 2 gallons of gas to travel 12 miles on the lake. How much gas would the boat use to travel 48 miles? All right. So there's so many different ways to do these. Just trying to think through which one to show you first. So solve by finding equivalent ratios. And again, I like to, they write it there, but if this was me doing it the first time, what would I do? And I'm not going to worry about this for right now. I would be writing my 2 gallons of gas takes me 12 miles equals. And then we want to know how far they can go 48 miles. So here's the key ideas, all right? Especially when it's rates. Remember, order matters. So label, units, gallon, miles. If miles is on the bottom over here, miles has got to be on the bottom over here, all right? And if gallons is on top, gallons has got to be on top. You cannot switch, all right? So labels, units on top have to match, and labels on the bottom have to match. That's a really big key idea here. Now, if I was doing this problem, I'm going to look right here. It says 12, can you multiply or divide 12 to get the 48? I know math facts well, so yes, I realize that. Okay, 12 times 4 is 48. And very simply, whatever you do the bottom, remember, you do the top, so times 4 times 4. So my answer is, to the problem, 8 gallons. Okay, so it can be that simple. All right. Now, what they're doing though is they are using a table. All right. So 2 to 12, so 2 gallons to 12 miles, and then they're going to step each piece up. So this was times 1. So times 2 gives me 4. 2 times 12 gives me 24. 3 times 2 gives me 6. 3 times 12 gives me 36, and 4 times 2 gives me 8, and 4 times 12 gives me 48, and I'm happy when I get to here because that was what I was looking for in the problem. So if you like that method, completely fine to do that, all right? And so ultimately, I'm going to fill in the 8, so it took 8 gallons of gas, okay? Now, I'm going to show you the next method. I'm going to do this in class. I don't know which day, but I want to make sure I cover it here in case you missed it. So I'm not going to worry about this problem, but we're going to go through the cross multiplying method, basically. All right. So if I have 2 gallons and I have 12 miles equals, I don't know this part. I do know the bottom, 48 miles, okay? Now, I should step back for a second. So, if we go way back to this last example, let me see if I can find it real here, quick. Yeah, this one over here. So remember, that one was not equivalent. There was one that was here, okay? So cross multiplying, what do I want to show you? Here is our 2 original. So if I have 6 and 4, and I'm trying to find out if it's equal to 9 to 6. Remember, cross multiplying, different from cross simplifying. Cross multiplying is going to multiply up. 4 times 9 is 36, and 6 times 6 is 36. If ratios, if 2 ratios are equivalent, you are going to get the same number when you cross multiply up. 36 equals 36. It's that simple. So if that's another, I didn't show it to you over here, but the cheaty way of saying, are these two ratios or rates equivalent, you can cross multiply. 36 equals 36, equivalent. If we came over here, the one that wasn't, let's check it out. I had 4 to 10. I wanted to know if that was equivalent to 3 to 5. So if I cross multiply up, 10 times 3 is 30, and 5 times 4 is 20. 20 and 30 are not equal, so they're not equivalent. So I can use that idea to make an equivalent ratio. So I'm going to come back to where we were now. Okay. So I'm trying to find what number here is going to make these equivalent. So I'm going to use this cross multiplication method. So 2 times 48, 2 times 48 would be my number up here. And let's give this a variable. Let's call this m. All right. And then this side, cross multiply up, would be 12 times m. And they're equal to one another. So I have 2 times 48 equals 12 times m. And I know that that is 48 and 2, I'd have 1696, right? So right now, if you recall what we've been doing with area and equations, I have a one-step equation. So I have 96, that was 2 times 48, equals 12 times m. And I want to get m by itself. So remember, when I want to isolate the variable, I use the inverse operation. This should sound familiar to you. So m is being multiplied by 12, so I need to divide by 12. Whatever I do on one side of the equation, I have to do on the other side of the equation. And then I can grab my handy dandy calculator and pull that up, and I would go 96 divided by 12 equals, and I get an 8. So that cancels out, m equals 8. So my missing number up here, remember, was 8. Okay, so if you don't like doing the multiplication of tables, if you have 3 of your 4 parts of equivalent ratios, you can find the 4th missing piece by doing the cross multiply and divide piece. This is called proportions. All right, so when you have 2 equivalent rates or ratios, they're called proportional proportions. So here's the little key. When you look at your diagonal, what you're going to be doing is you always multiply where you have the diagonal 2 numbers. That's where you're multiplying, divide by the 3rd number. But I do want you to show me this work because it's really good to get, you'll get it much more solid if you're showing these steps. But so this is just another method you can use. Let's look at some examples here. And again, I'm not going to make them as difficult as the book is making them. So they want us to use equivalent ratios to find the unknown value. So 3 to 4 equals blank over 20. Now, a bunch of different options. I just say, does 4 go into 20? Yep. Times 5, right? And whenever I do the bottom, I do the top. So 3 times 5, my answer is 15. All right, so 3 over 4 is equivalent to 15 over 20. And so they're showing it by times 5, and we get, what do they want here? I guess just that 15, okay? But let's do the cross multiplication method that I was just showing you on the other page. Put a variable there, m over 20. So 4 times m on this side, 3 times 20 on this side. Oops, sorry, 4 times m, 3 times 20. So, and I'm going to rewrite that, not that you have to do all these steps. You could go straight here if you want to. 60 equals 4m, divide by 4, divide by 4. So whatever's inverse of whatever's being done to the m. Okay, because 4 over 4 is 1. So I'm left with m equals, take your calculator, 60 divided by 4, and you're going to get 15, same as you got up there at the top. All right, so that's simple. Or if you wanted to go through the whole table, here it is. All right, so 3 to 4, multiply by 2, multiply by 3, multiply by 4, multiply by 5, so 9, 12, 15, 12, 16, 20. Here was the one I was shooting for, the 20, and so I have a 15 with it. So that's using the actual table if you prefer that. And last thing I want to do here on 237 is show you a couple examples with just some be carefuls. What I always do is with my unknown, I always draw my arrow to the unknown box. So I draw my arrow and put my point to the unknown, and then whichever way that arrow is, then I need to do the same on the bottom there then. All right. So that way, that means I'm going from 6 to 30, and that's times 5. So then I'd have 2 times 5 gives me 10. So 10 over 30, 10 was my missing piece. Because here's where it gets a little tricky. So notice, I'm coming this direction. I'm coming kind of backwards, 10 to the unknown. So here I'm coming backwards. How do I go from 55 to 5? Well, I'm actually dividing by 11. So here I'm dividing by 11, and I would get 10. All right, so 5 over 10. So everybody always thinks sometimes that they're multiplying. No, in this case you're actually dividing. You're coming down. Okay, and I'm going to show you the same thing over here. So arrow to the unknown, How do I go from 24 to 6? Divide by 4. So divide by 4, and it's this one. It's 16 divided by 4, not that way. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Because make sure, if this is going here, down it's up, or down, it's down. You can't crisscross, all right? And again, if you don't like that method, you can do your cross multiply. So 9 times 9, this would be 3 times a variable. So 3 times m equals 81. Divide by 3, divide by 3. M equals, and for that one, I'm just going to pull out my calculator because it's a whole lot quicker here. I would get 27. And I can check it. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 8 times, is that an 8? No, 9. 9 times 3 gives me 27. So my missing box is a 27. All right, that's it for lesson 5.